I, the a-hole, for feeling betrayed after my wife hid the fact that she could never have kids until years into our marriage. I, a 34-year-old male, met my wife, 33-year-old female, about 10 years ago. From the very beginning, I knew she was special. We clicked instantly. Same sense of humor, same life goals, or so I thought, and just an overwhelming feeling of this is the person I want to build a life with. As we dated, I made it very clear that I've always wanted a family. I wasn't pushy about it, but I talked about how I looked forward to being a dad one day, how I wanted to raise kids and create a loving home together. She never gave any indication that she didn't want that too. She would smile, nod, and sometimes even talk about what kind of parent she thought she'd be. Fast forward a few years, we get married. It was the happiest day of my life. I loved this woman with my whole heart, and I truly believed we were on the same page about everything that mattered. Then, a few years into our marriage, we start talking more seriously about trying for kids. That's when she finally drops the bombshell. She has known since before we even met that she has a medical condition that makes it impossible for her to conceive. Not unlikely, not difficult, impossible. I was stunned. It wasn't even just that she couldn't have kids. It was that she knew all along and never told me. Not when we were dating, not when I expressed over and over how much I wanted children, not before we got married. When I asked her why she never told me, she said she didn't want to lose me and hoped that by the time we got to this point, I would love her enough that it wouldn't matter. She also admitted that she was scared I would leave if I knew. And now, I don't even know how to feel. I love her. I loved her. But I can't shake this overwhelming feeling of betrayal. This wasn't some small omission. She took away my ability to make an informed decision about my future. She knew this was a deal breaker for me and just lied by omission. I feel trapped. I feel cheated. And worst of all, I don't know what to do next. What would you do? Well, sir, the reason you feel betrayed by your wife is because you absolutely were betrayed by your wife's omission about being barren. Betrayal might be one of the most potent emotional response a person can have. It carries with it a deep sense of destruction where the expectation of trust is concerned. In relationships, betrayal can take on a whole lot of forms. It can come from infidelity, deceit, abandonment, or by breaking a commitment to your partner. But what happened to you, sir? It's not in the form of a blatant act of dishonesty. Instead, it was a carefully hidden truth. When people imagine a married couple together for several years, their bond is thought to be unbreakable. You even stated that the idea of fatherhood has always been a dream of yours, one that you envisioned with the love of your life, your wife. You've built a life together. You shared a lot of memories and made plans for the future, plans that include the hope of having children. For you, it's a natural progression. Dating, marriage, followed by children. You imagine your life together as parents, raising kids together, sharing the joys and the challenges that come with creating a family. But then wifey comes along and she tells you something you never expected to hear. and that she's unable to conceive. What's more is that she's known this for years, even before y'all got married. Shame on her. She kept this secret from you out of fear that you'd leave her or that the relationship would fall apart. Your wife's completely out of pocket for that. Her desire to be your wife and build a life together, it outweighed her choice to be honest and truthful with you. She kept the truth hidden within her. She had no regard for your desires, no regard for your feelings, or your right to choose. So now, after all these years, the truth is finally revealed by her, and it has shattered the foundation of both of your dreams. So you are not the a-hole for feeling betrayed by your wife. In my opinion, your wife is the a-hole for trapping you into a marriage knowing full well she couldn't give you your heart's desire, and that is to be a husband and father in the marriage. She put her desires as well as her happiness in front of yours. So at first, we might feel sympathy for the wife. Her decision to conceal her infertility, it was driven by fear, the fear of losing her husband, and that seems understandable in some ways. She wanted to protect their marriage and to keep the man that she loves from leaving her for someone who could give him the family he desired. Oh, she had a fear of abandonment, and that led her to make a choice that in her mind was justified in the name of love. After all, her intentions were good, right? I'm not so sure about that. She thought that she could make it work, or maybe even they both could find a way to accept their childless life together. But does intent really matter here? When the lie, no matter how well-meaning, has such devastating consequences? I don't think so. And a lie never cares who tells it. I bet she comforts herself daily by saying, well, I never lied and said I could have children. I just never told him I couldn't. Oh, the deception. Now, the husband, on the other hand, he's facing a painful dilemma now. For him, the revelation is not just a shock to his plans, it's a whole betrayal. He's been led to believe that their future together would include a family, children. He envisioned raising kids and sharing the joys of parenthood with his wife. This wasn't just some casual dream. It was a clear expectation that he communicated to her, a core part of their marriage contract. And in his eyes, his wife's withholding of this information, it feels like a betrayal of their trust and of his right to make an informed decision about the life he's committing to. Hell, he might wonder, what else has she been hiding? What other truths have been left unsaid? And how deep does this deception go? Those are some valid things to consider. The betrayal in this scenario, it isn't simply the fact that the wife kept a secret, it's the emotional manipulation of withholding such an important truth. By not revealing her infertility, the wife essentially decided for her husband that their marriage would remain childless. She took away his agency in this decision, ensuring that his dream of fatherhood would be crushed only when it was too late to walk away without some devastating consequences. The husband is now left to question not just the future, but the past. Was the love they shared built on a lie? Now, there's also the issue of the power dynamic in their relationship. By keeping such a significant part of herself hidden, the wife has placed herself in a position of power. She controlled the narrative. She alone decided when and how the husband would learn the truth, and in doing so, she ensured that his desires were secondary to hers. This power imbalance doesn't necessarily make her a villain, but it does raise some question about the ways in which people protect themselves in relationships at the expense of others. Now, betrayal doesn't always mean malice. Sometimes it's motivated by a fear of losing something that you love or the desire to avoid harsh consequences from telling the truth. But the impact of this hidden truth, it doesn't just affect the husband. It affects the wife as well. She's been living with guilt and anxiety, constantly fearing that the truth is going to come to light. Now, she's got to face the emotional fallout of her deception. The shame she feels is not only about the fact that she's infertile, but that she's been concealing it, basically putting her marriage on an uncertain foundation. This kind of situation calls attention to the complex nature of marriage and expectations. In any marriage, partners are expected to share their hopes, their dreams, their vulnerabilities with each other and to build a life together that's grounded in mutual understanding and respect. It can't be one-sided. For the husband, his hopes of having children were a key part of the marriage, or so he thought, that he was entering into. The wife, too. She had dreams, but her desire to keep him, to preserve their marriage, it led her to hide something that in the long run would be one of the most defining moments of their relationship. In situations like this, you got to ask yourself, is it better to have loved and lost or to have lived in the comfort of a lie? The wife's fear of abandonment, it's understandable. Her choice to withhold the truth ended up robbing them both of a chance to make an informed decision about their future. Would their marriage have survived if she'd been honest from the beginning? I don't know. Would the husband have chosen to marry her if he had known that children weren't a part of the picture? Possibly, but probably not. These questions are impossible to answer, but they emphasize the fact that betrayal leaves wounds that are not easily healed. Betrayal in marriage isn't just about broken promises, it's about the loss of trust. Trust is the foundation that any relationship stands on. When it's shaken, the entire structure's at risk. In this case, the wife's omission may have been driven by love, but it undermines the very trust she sought to protect. For the husband, his world has been turned upside down. Not just by the loss of his dream of fatherhood, but by the realization that his partner's love for him may not have been enough to sustain the future together. In the end, this situation serves as a painful reminder that honesty and transparency are the basis of any lasting relationship. Without them, no matter how deep the love or how pure the intentions, betrayal easily creeps in and it leaves behind feelings of regret and distrust. And for a marriage to survive such a betrayal as this, both partners are going to have to confront the truth, no matter how painful it may be, and attempt to rebuild the trust that's been broken. If given a chance, the husband could have decided to pursue a marriage with this woman knowing that alternative methods for conception would have been needed. Together, they could have decided whether to use IVF for artificial insemination, adoption, or surrogacy. It would have been a joint decision where both partners provided input and felt valued for their decisions. My advice to the young man who wrote this letter: you're only 34 years old, and you have your whole life ahead of you. You don't have to imagine a scenario that includes your current wife. You yourself said you loved her, emphasis on the D. I'm no lawyer, but irreconcilable differences sounds befitting for this occasion. Good luck to you, sir. And may you someday enjoy Father's Day as the recipient of love from your children. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.